This video shall begin with a recap. If it goes on too long, what we will have is a part 3 video. Okay? To start this book off, 0 political views will be mentioned. This is a book I wrote, by the way. If political views are mentioned, they are only, at a coincidence, a possible source of poor educational outcomes. 0 offenses meant. Other political views may appear to be asserted for the sake of a possible better outcome for the students. These are only ideas. Maybe the author personally does not agree with them, but would like them to be put in consideration. Perhaps the author is a devil's advocate in the sense that the author is not in support of the ideas, but would still like them to be considered. What will be found in this book is a proposed system to improve the educational outcomes of students. There is a specific emphasis on special education students to demonstrate how school choice could help them. It would be appreciated if educators reading this article did not take offense. The article will advocate that teachers be paid more based on their performance. That proposal will be more fair to teachers, and it could potentially mean raises for some teachers. There have been people who were formerly special education students in school districts where there was no school choice. Many would argue they were better off with the lack of school choice. Much to the contrary, ideas expressed in this book could refute that claim. In another book, it will be revealed the specific student in mind in the writing of this article. He was not allowed to take calculus in high school and a number of AP courses. In total, he took only 2 AP courses. Okay, that's about it. Now let's get to the meat. Now, would a person want the best educational outcome for themselves? Would one want the people in his or her community to be well educated as possible? Even people who are not fond of government involvement have stated that education is an externality, a necessary element of economic altruism, even in a free market. When I say people who don't like government intervention, I mean libertarians also like this. Am I eliciting a divide? My own politics are secret, but the Austrian School of Economics has proposed education as an externality. By that logic, would one want a choice? Would one want a choice of what to pick as far as institutions? One would imagine so. Would one rather go to school A, school B, school C, etc.? Options someone may not get. Maybe this decision does not matter to some people. Would one want his or her current community members to be well educated? Most would. If one is still uncertain, what if capitalistic evidence indicates that competition beats stagnation? Even in education, even for special education, hypothetically, if there is one store and it is paid based on how many customers go, what is the incentive for it to improve? What is the incentive for it to bring in the best educators? What is the incentive for it to look for the root cause of academic success? Okay. You see where this is going? The key word here is school choice and education improvement. Okay, to add more statistics to back up some of my claims, California's teacher union I gave you an example 1 of California, as I did. Then California is stated to be at a quality of education that is not as high. California quality of education is ranked 13 to the last number 37 in the walletbub.com. That's kind of an iffy poll, kind of unknown, because Wallet Hub, I'm not going to pull up that example. Perhaps I will. It's a .com site. So if it's in that poll, I don't think it matters as much. It's a .com. .com, and not .com as in .calm.com as in COM. .com. Yes, that's the type of .com it is. Not .edu and not .net. Even though if it's not .edu or .gov. Okay, now let's get into statistics. Okay, let's take a look. Let's add a screen, new. I'll show you perhaps a brief picture of Wallet Hub. Wallet Hub. California schools. I'll even show you who wrote it. California education. Wallet Hub. States with the best and worst school systems. Wallet Hub. July 27th, 2020. I can tell that even the glare, you can still see it very well. You see it enough, you see the website. Now they go on, I'm going to click on it. It was the purple one. Okay. So by that logic, in total score, California, where does California rank? It's a 45.63, a 45.93. Okay, which is a very interesting score, which is not the point. The point being that this is not a very accredited website. Who wrote it? Who wrote this? Adam McCain, a financial writer. Okay, it's always number 37. Now I'll show you what a real statistic is. This is perhaps an example of what not to look up. Because it's, I'll show you something else. Okay. Finance in California's public schools, just the facts. This is, I shall show you the other one. What website I'm referencing this off of? The Public Policy Institute of California, PPIC. Public Policy Institute of California, the purple link here. You know what it is? I bet you do. Public Policy Institute of California. Okay. It's .org. Public Policy Institute of California is a non-profit, nonpartisan think tank. We're dedicated to informing and improving. Okay. And it's got a 5.0 rating. 2 ratings so far. Yeah. 5.0. Only 2. So it's not that exposed. Only 2 ratings. Non-profit organization. California organization. Okay. See what the reviews have said. The organization does an exceptional job reporting the facts on how Californians feel about hot topics right now. I purchased Lee Love their lunchtime seminars. Now they do every once in a while. The nice thing is that it is a fully, I didn't read the entire thing. I didn't read the entire review. Like blank, dum 2 years ago. One is 3 years ago, one is 2 years ago. Local guide. Okay, so people gave reviews. Now that is detailing what the site is. And I will tell you what PPIC is. Tell you how it ranked California schools. Okay. You will like it. You're going to like this. How did they rank California schools? This will be a nice surprise for you. Okay, just the facts, as they say. Alright, so one thing we know for sure is that they have cited something. Okay, they've cited their sources. Source: Legislative Analyst's Office, K-12 funding by source, July 2018 report. Note the figure excludes non-Proposition 98. This state provides a majority of K-12 funding. This state provides. Now they're pointing out how California gets its funding. I'll list the percentages for you. Okay, local property tax is 22%, other local 10%, federal 9%, state lottery 1%, state 58%. 58% of it comes from the state. Okay, and by state, I think they mean state income taxes. State income, okay. Because in Puerto Rico, there is no income tax. There is none. According to Peter Schiff on the Joe Rogan Experience, as I will show you. As Joe Rogan often fact checks things, I will pull up the Joe Rogan Experience episode for you to see. The episode with Peter Schiff, where Peter Schiff points out that because it has no income tax in Puerto Rico, Peter Schiff, Joe Rogan Experience. Okay. Which episode is it? Well, you can find them right here. Okay, let's look at the episode.
Robert, where is all of this?
Okay. Episode July 15th, 2020, 1508 Joe Rogan Experience. You can find it on Spotify. In this episode, Peter Schiff says how Puerto Rico has no representative in Congress. They have to pay no income tax either in Puerto Rico. That's why it's not a state. You can't vote for president, you can't vote for anything, but you have no income tax. So when they say state tax, I think they mean income tax. Okay. Now let's take a look. And now let's also read more on this detail, as they have cited it. Okay. Source: Legislative Analyst, K-12 funding by source, July 2018 report. Note the figure excludes non-Proposition 98 state general fund contributions, including funding or state debt service payments for school facilities, state contributions to the state teachers retirement system, PPIC, and the California Department of Education operations. Okay, what do we know about those three things? I'm going to name Proposition 98 state general fund contributions include funding for state debt service payments. Note the figure excludes non-Proposition 98 state general fund contributions, including state funding for state debt service payments for school facilities, state contributions to the state teachers retirement fund, KFSSR, and the state retirement education operations. Okay, none of those three things, the three things I'm going to list. Note the figures excludes non-Proposition 98 state general fund contributions, including funding for state debt service payments for school facilities, state contributions to the state teachers retirement, and the California Department of Education systems. So that Department of Education operations, and so that's three things that are not pupils. Okay, now that makes it even more interesting for the next part. Even more interesting for the next part. Okay. Okay. What is the next part? Now, you will find this interesting. I make sure that my things are well cited. California education spending continues to lag behind the rest of the nation. This got criticized for being more on liberal, too liberal. Now it's the source: National Center for Education Statistics, NCES. National. Note the figures shows total expenditures per pupil for, pupil means student, for current educational costs, not including capital outlay and interest costs. Using NCES data, dollar amounts are adjusted for inflation. Now what is NCES? I actually have that. I have that written down. I can show it to you. NCES. NCS data California. Now, NCS is .ed.gov, so NCS is a .gov website. So if they cited it from the .gov website, then they're probably being serious. It probably is. It's probably credible. It is credible if it's .gov. So NCS. Okay. Now let's look closer at it. Oh, California's education spending continues to lag behind the rest of the state. Per pupil expenditure. Expenditure means amount spent. Expenditure means amount spent. That's what expenditure is. Okay. Now let's see. Rest of U.S. California. Okay. So you can tell California is the orange throughout this entire poll, which seems to be which is 1988 to 2015. They've cited it from an accredited source, a government source, .gov. Rest of U.S. California. Look. Okay, look. Good look. You can see all the dates. See all the dates. It starts off when they're close, and then it ends. And there's been no massive legislation that's led me to believe that it has changed since 2015. Okay. Source, the National Center for Education Statistics, NC. Yes, we already made that. It was accredited. We already made that accredited. Okay. Notes, figure shows total expenditures per pupil for current educational costs, not including capital outlay. Now, what is capital outlay? I'll show you what it is. Capital outlay. Capital outlay is, we shall Google it. Capital outlay. Capital outlay. I think I know what it means. Let's make sure that we can deduce that's correct. It's www.upcouncil.com. They have an outlay. Upcouncil.com. If people want to fact check this video, go ahead. Okay. Capital outlay is defined as money that's spent to maintain, upgrade, acquire, or repair capital assets. Capital assets. Capital outlay, sometimes called capital expenditures, are recorded as liabilities by accountants as balance sheets for the company. Capital outlay. How is capital outlay? Define capital outlay, add the total amount of non-current tangible assets to the total amount of non-current intangible assets. This is the total outlay specific accounting period that's based on your balance. Okay. If you buy a new truck, that's the capital outlay. It's the money spent to acquire a fixed asset. If you replace the engine in the existing truck, that's capital outlay. The two, because the new engine will give the truck longer life. So by that essence, we've just figured it out. A capital outlay, smallbusiness.sugarrun.com. Capital outlay is the amount of money used for assets, such as equipment or school, whatever. School equipment, not students, not pupils, perhaps. And is that, how valuable is that if you're just going to use that to make, let's say you buy a grocery store, a bunch of trucks they can use, then you ban the students from coming, or the people in charge of the strike, and the students don't get any of the benefit of that. How good is that? That's not good. So the capital outlay is once again irrelevant. So it being excluded from this per pupil thing is completely necessary. It is completely something that should be excluded. Because at this point, we've gotten to a point in history where it is irrelevant, the capital outlay for per pupil. These kids are not allowed to go back to school. The schools are closed through teachers' unions, like I've said. Okay. Teachers' unions give money to the governor's campaign and to a bunch of political campaigns, and they sue if these are going to reopen. They do. Even if they don't have the illegitimate reason to. Like I've said previously on the Alex Berenson thing, I recommend you watch his Jerome interview. Okay. So, and there's interest costs. Interest costs are loans they may have borrowed, they're paying back. And how is that relevant now? It's me, what should happen is this should go up. They should spend more per pupil, thus creating a better educational system for special education people. Okay, now what do we know about this? What else do we know about it? The article explored PPIC states how California spends less in education compared to the rest of the United States. And it did. One would often make the counter argument that California is a large student diverse, but how much would this include teacher benefits? This is an illogical argument. Illogical. How would student diversity include teachers' benefits? Maybe I should show you one more thing also. Okay, you see this? People say PPIC, going to California Watchdog, is a liberal group. Okay, that did a poll and that said that people desire more spending for education. So this is a liberal group that wants to support what would be a conservative way of thinking, that is school choice. Okay. Big surprise, a liberal think tank releases a study showing that Californians want more, and it's Californians wanting more. Correction, it's Californians wanting more. It's not that there should be more due to data. Okay. That there is, it's that Californians want more spending for education, not that there is less. Okay, so you get it? Okay. Now, we have people calling it a liberal source. Now I'll show you the T-chart. What does it make a difference that a large student diversity, and how does that tie into teachers' benefits? Because going to PPIC also is that the pressure to make teachers' wages higher is also a part of the thing. Okay? Yeah? Now, like I said, I need a T-chart here. Teacher equipment loans. Okay, bum. Because the increased teachers' wages and the loans. And then you have this. Then you have students and diversity. Perhaps neurodiversity also. Bum. Speaking of neurodiversity, this would be a great segue into the next part of it. Okay. And this, of course, means Florida and Ohio are spending more on per student, on per pupil education compared to California. Different outcomes per student do tell, plus California and Ohio teacher union is less prominent, if I understand correctly. The statistics logic makes me points to that. A discussion. Data showed in the results may be questioned. Despite that, a reasonable solution. Well, fact checkers might try to take it down. If it's writing.gov, then it is not questionable. If it's writing.gov. Okay. Schools would be, what if schools were paid on how the teacher teaches? Perhaps on their work ethic. Teachers should be paid off of their quality, not off of their number of students in their school. It should be the quantity. You've heard of that saying, quality, not quantity. I think people have heard of that. Okay. This new system would have allowed, student mentioned above, the anonymous student that I will not mention the name of right now, to have a better would have allowed him to have a better education system. It could have allowed him, he could have been homeschooled if his problems were behavioral issues. Perhaps he should have been giving a voucher and a teacher to school him at his house. There was this whole, he needs to socialize thing. And then, well, what do we know? Yeah, that was kind of funny. Oh, yeah. That would have been a much better than the current system that pays schools based off the number of students attending a school. He could have had a voucher and aid at his house. One of the paraeducators was considered a cornerstone to his educational experience. It is propaganda for teachers to state that students need to socialize. That is not true. If they are going to and or are allowed to strike for illegitimate reasons, if struck for extended periods of time, how much validity would there be in the claim students need to socialize? This is especially true if problems of the anonymous student were because of poor socialization. That resulted in him being set back and eventually not being allowed to take advanced placement math and not being allowed to stop being dependent on others for economic reasons. He could have had a job in faster time. He could have. How many things in the world has capitalism improved or saved? there would be an incentive to improve the business of students and parents. And there would be testing incentives for special education students. Students are a needed part. If the argument is that special education would be lower quality, school choice capitalism could fix that too. It's called competition to create the best program. The students and parents would be customers. The government would give universal money, and school staff would be the employees. Universal money because education is an externality. It would be imperative to look at other decisions and advice on education. Solutions other than public education in one school worth perhaps no incentive to improve and no school choice. By that logic, just keep listening to what I'm saying, because if the only solution is a school with no incentive to improve, then that's just no good. One possibility could be more attention to neurodiversity, as it is stuck in the 1900s, the educational system. It says a TED Talk. I'll show you the TED Talk on my phone. TED Talks are accredited. It says the .com article of Leah Williams. I will cite that in the end of this site. TED Talks are credible. They are. Okay. I said that in the part 1 of this video. Now let me show you it. The education system needs to improve. Okay, now I'll show you this. You can see it now. You can see it. Okay. The education system needs to evolve. It needs to evolve, not improve. Evolve. The named student did not fare well in competitive environment. The one where he was socially forced to be overly competitive. He would have done better if he had been one that would accept his neurodiversity more. But still, we may call that a contradiction. Think about it though. Well, it was because of a competitive environment. It's unknown. Perhaps he did not like the number of students around him. Perhaps that was it. He would have fared better if the school had accounted more for his neurodiverse mind. He was autistic. He was. Okay, now I'm going to show you one where TED Talks are accredited. TED Talks are credible. I'll just show you the one here. Note that. TED Talks are credible. Are credible. Okay. TED Talks credible. One thing, accuracy and transparency. At TED, we strive to present the stance in a way that is both compelling and 100% credible. Scientific claims by our speakers would be based on data that has survived scrutiny by experts in the field. For one thing, there's this. You see it? You see it? I'm showing it to you. You can look it up yourself. I think that's good enough of a citation, but I'm still going to put it in the YouTube video. Okay. And also, writing.msu.edu featured TED Talks, July 26, 2012. So they are credible according to this also. You see? According to this. Featured resource, TED Talks, they're credible. Writing.msu.edu featured. You see? You can look that up. Okay.